Like, why is nobody doing this? And how can I help? How can I fill this gap? And I kept hearing from friends, who maybe their child struggled with handwriting, maybe they have ADHD or whatever. And it kept being so glaringly obvious. And so finally I was like, okay, I'm gonna spend 6 months and I'm gonna figure this out, and then I'm just gonna throw it out there and see what happens. So it started very small.
Hey, Kelly, welcome to the Teacher Biz podcast.
Thank you.
I am so excited to have you here today. Kelly has been a speaker at two of my summits, both on the kindergarten ready side, my engaging early learning summits. And I am so excited to get to know her better today in this podcast episode and to chat business because I think that's so much fun. Kelly, let's start by having you tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Sure. So, again, my name is Kelli Fetter. I own and I'm the founder of Handwriting Solutions. So, what we do is we provide handwriting remediation virtually. So, we are a global company and we work with students all over the world, and we have tutors all over the world as well. And we intervene with students, with dysgraphia is a common diagnosis that we work with, but also dyslexia, ADHD, or simply those kiddos that just are pandemic kids and they might have missed that explicit instruction. And so we kind of serve a variety of students, typically ages 4.5 all the way up to, I think our oldest student was actually 22 years old and graduating college. So we see a variety of students, again, virtually. And then we also have started training teachers and school systems and occupational therapists to really get this information, this research out there on handwriting, on dysgraphia. So it's kind of interesting how it is all evolved. And, I think my biggest goal is just it comes from that passion and that drive to share the information and to get these students the help that they need.
I love that. When I was a kindergarten teacher, they teach you so many things when you go to school to be a teacher. No one ever taught me how to teach a child how to hold a pencil. I had to like Google that myself to learn how to teach them that. It's so silly, these like very foundational things that no one ever teaches teachers how to teach. So I love that you're helping that community too.
Yeah, yeah, it's very it's not uncommon. We actually hear that a lot from teachers. And I think sometimes it's easy to kind of point fingers of like, well, my child didn't get this. And teachers want to know, like, they want to best serve their students. But yeah, they're not getting it in their university, which, is also on my like long list of of things to do, is to get this information to where you do have teachers that are coming out of college equipped and know what to look for, because handwriting, and I think will be the theme of this discussion, is handwriting is just important as reading with this big literacy, looking at this big literacy picture. So, yeah, we have to equip our teachers as well.
And then from a business perspective, I love how you are so niche. Like it's not just literacy. People know exactly what to come to you for. And I mean, I know from my preschool mom community, it's something that a lot of preschool moms are worried about because if no one teaches teachers, they definitely don't teach moms how to teach their kids this stuff. So, how did you decide to focus on handwriting specifically? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's what they say to do, right? Is to niche. And so that's what I did, but it really happened very organically. So my own daughter was diagnosed with dyslexia and dysgraphia when she was 6 years old. So she was in first grade. And so my background is in pediatric occupational therapy. And so I started seeing signs that something was going on around in kindergarten. Something was not clicking, but it was weird. As an OT, I was looking at motor skills and I was like, but her fine motor skills are fine. Like, and she's hitting all of her developmental goals. Like, what is the block? What is the barrier? And so we went ahead and started the reading tutoring between kindergarten and first grade. And then, of course, by the fall of that first grade year, the school also was like, you know what? I think you're onto something. Something is not clicking with her. I'm like, I know, right? Come to find out, it's she again got her dyslexia and dysgraphia diagnosis, as well as we looked at some working memory and some processing speed. So it was kind of, I'm very familiar with psychological evaluations too. So that's another area that I think teachers, don't get enough of, and that they want that information because that information is gold. If we can understand how our students are learning and how their brains are processing, that information is just so helpful. But yeah, so basically, my daughter got her diagnosis, and so I was able to find support for the dyslexia. That's quote easy in a way. There's so much research and books and resources out there, but my goodness, the dysgraphia stumped me because again, I was coming at it from this medical model lens of motor skills, and there was more to it. There was missing links. There were gaps for her. So, as every parent naturally does, I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna figure this out, and I'm gonna help you because I have the neurological framework of it, but I needed this educational framework of it, and really starting to understand the language processing, and so that's what I did. So I spent years reading, researching, reaching out to anybody who possibly was in the world of handwriting or dysgraphia, and was able to help her. And I also, in the meantime, was teaching adjunct at a local university. And I was teaching pediatrics course. So absolutely loved that. But I just kept reflecting and thinking, there has to be, like, why is nobody doing this, and how can I help, how can I fill this gap? And I kept hearing from friends, who maybe their child struggled with handwriting, maybe they have ADHD or whatever, and it kept being so glaringly obvious. And so finally I was like, okay, I'm gonna spend 6 months and I'm gonna figure this out, and then I'm just gonna throw it out there and see what happens. So it started very small. It was just 2 afternoons a week, and it was a very like local. We didn't start virtual, it was just me. And it has certainly evolved over the past 3, 4 years. Yeah.
That is awesome. I love that you've been able to keep it going that long. How lucky for your daughter that her mom happened to be an OT and like had the drive to look into all of this. I think that is so cool. And I also think like just, like the way that things guide you and the direction that you're supposed to go. And now how many hundreds or thousands of children and humans have you helped because of this thing that stemmed from your own family? I love that so much. That's such a cool story.
Yeah, yeah. I think parents and teachers and therapists, we do a lot of education with OTs as well because they're not taught, dysgraphia. And so that was the big piece of my why as well, is like, I'm not equipped for this. So I know none of the other OTs are, and I want to help them too. And I think the passion just really comes across and is more relatable um, and therefore empowering, I think, for people that we work with.
That's really cool. Tell us a little bit about the structures of your offers. So you have this assessment, you have tutoring, you have other digital offers. Tell us what that looks like for you.
Yeah. So again, this is all evolved. I think if anything, your listeners need to know that things will evolve because I'm a type A perfectionist, and building a business has made me, it has humbled me, and it has turned me from a recovering perfectionist, is what I like to say. So it has certainly pivoted over the years, to where now, currently, what we provide is the handwriting assessment that I mentioned, as well as handwriting remediation. This is all virtually at this point. We don't even have a physical location now. And however, that's certainly some of the teachers and tutors and therapists that we train. They absolutely do implement it physically and in person. And I think That is wonderful if they can do that. They are serving kind of their little communities, which is great. But I really wanted to expand our reach as well as at the time I was living in an area that was really hard to find good quality people to work for you. And so again, life just naturally leads you down different paths. And so that's how we went virtual. So the handwriting assessment, as well as the tutoring that goes along with that. And then I guess it's probably a year and a half ago, maybe coming up on 2 years. So I started noticing that when we would work with students with handwriting, we would get them to a really great place and they would be fluent with their handwriting, but they would plateau. And this was not all students, but this was a good portion. And I thought, what is the barrier? And 9 times out of 10, it was spelling. And so then I did a deep dive on this and I ended up, I mean, full circle moment, bringing my own child's dyslexia tutor on board. And so now she does reading and spelling interventions and assessments as well for us. So it's certainly not the bulk of what we do, but to give our students who are working with us already on handwriting that additional reading and spelling and kind of that written expression support really is wonderful for the family. So then it's a one-stop shop. So I wasn't having to say, okay, well now go find a tutor that does this. And also I'm very particular about who I refer to and I want to make sure that they're vetted. So being able to bring her in-house was wonderful. And so we also have that. We kind of have two separate teams, our handwriting team and our reading spelling team. And then this past year, we've really, well, over the past couple of years, I've really wanted to connect with more schools and more teachers. And so it started again very small with some local schools. But now we're doing some teacher trainings. And so we can come into the school either in person or virtually, and we can teach teachers basically how to implement handwriting instruction. Because as you said, you aren't necessarily taught this. So we can teach them what to look for, red flags, what is the best practice for instruction. And then I also work with a continuing education company for occupational therapists. And so, and then we are also building out some more training for OTs on dysgraphia and handwriting as well. So really trying to hit any person or professional who could potentially impact these students' lives because I think and my value and mission is really how can we come at this all together? A very abundance mindset. How can we collaborate? How can we provide this comprehensive approach to meeting students' needs? And so, if I can get the teachers trained and the therapists trained, and they have our support, I just think that's win-win for everybody. And then parents can take a big sigh of relief that they're covered.
I love that. I think it's so helpful to your families. And I love just hearing this evolution of starting pretty small and now all of the different things that you're doing. I wanted to ask you about if you faced any mindset blocks when you're working on building out your business. You already mentioned perfectionism. That is something that so many of my students and just members of this Teacher Biz community and listeners of this podcast struggle with. I think teachers kind of have this tendency to be perfectionists, and it is so hard in business where you can't do that and be profitable. Like what is the quote? Perfection is the enemy of profit. It's just so true. So can you tell us a little bit about that and maybe something that either worked for you or if you have advice for those struggling with this perfectionism?
Oh my goodness. If you are struggling, just know that there is somebody is literally struggling right there with you. And I'm telling you, it is a daily battle, I will say. Like it doesn't necessarily get easier. I can most of the time talk myself down, kind of talk myself off the cliff. But it doesn't get easier. And but I think you find the tools and the support to keep yourself moving. And I think that's the key is just keep going, put it out there. I mean, for a couple of years now, I'm like, I'm going to do this year. This is going to be the goal. And then I don't. It's time, the big, oh, well, I didn't have time. Yeah, we can choose how we spend our time. And also, a big lesson that I've had to learn this year is delegate. Delegate, delegate, delegate. And I know I couldn't have done that at the beginning, so I am a realist. Like it was just me, and that's fine. But then it got to a point where it wasn't just me, and yet I was still juggling all of the balls. And has it hit the bottom line? Yes, yes, I will be 100% transparent in that it takes an investment to grow and to scale. But the fact that I can reinvest in our team to reach more families and students and educators, that's what it's all about for me. Because at the end of the day, yes, you want to make a living, but at the end of the day, if I can reach more people, that's really what's the most meaningful for me. Um, so I think it's so cliche, and so that's why I hate to say like put it out there, messy. But maybe you are a perfectionist, and so you hone in on one thing at a time, and you build that out, and then you just have to put it out there, and you have to be okay that 95% of people are going to love it, and 5% of people are going to have negative things to say. And that's also been something I've had to overcome because that negative one stands out so heavy. Um, but I can also, again, I have the support around me that I have some colleagues, who are in other areas of business, but similar, educational professionals. And so we can talk each other off the ledge or we can give each other ideas. So I think having that community and that support is also really, really helpful. Um, but yeah, it's not easy. Don't come into it thinking, I mean, I know from the outside it looks so easy. And I know that you've shared this a lot as well with your own journey. It looks so perfect and pretty and easy and simple. And you have to have grit and you have to to make some sacrifices perhaps. And I think I keep doing it though, because I also love what it's given me. Because there's been times where I'm like, you know what, I could just go work for somebody else. I could be an OT. I would definitely make more money that way. But I wouldn't have the flexibility that I have. I wouldn't be able to take trips and not have to feel like I'm missing, hours and paychecks um, and having the flexibility to maybe take a call at 6 p.m. But go to the beach in the middle of the day because we live close to the beach. So it's trade-offs, but um, I think persistence and just doing it, just getting it done is my best advice.
I agree with you because, and then if you think about all of the people that you want to help, you can't help them if you don't get your stuff out there to get to that person. And wouldn't they so much rather have that imperfect, whatever it is, help that they need than just keep waiting for you to make the thing? I'm right there with you with the delegating. I am such a control freak. I want my hands in everything. I have such an amazing team. They are so capable. And I have over the years passed off a lot. My team member Jenny helps me a lot with my membership content now. I have a team member Alexis who runs my accountability groups for me. But I'm always fighting now that I've conquered my perfectionist tendencies. I'm always fighting this control freak. I need to know everything that's going on and I need to do this because I want to do it this way. It's
Yeah,
rough.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
definitely a business owner struggle.
Yeah, for sure. It took me forever I was okay with delegating the tutoring because I built out a very rigorous onboarding and training. And then it was like I couldn't let go of the assessment piece. And so I finally, I kid you not, though, it took me probably 8 months to really get one of our tutors trained and like having me feel comfortable. And yet I still oversee it and I still handle the bulk of it too. But I also think it's a balance of parents also want that from me. And so when they come on board, they want my professional expertise and opinion, which I am happy to give, and they find that valuable and I find it valuable too. So I think it's also knowing what your audience, what they want from you versus what you can also kind of delegate.
Do you have any specific business strategies that you're excited about right now?
Oh my goodness, yes. So 2025 was the year of systems and processes and procedures for me. And so it was really kind of, it was a year of deep work, but not a ton of maybe ROI from it. But you have to figure out your systems and procedures before you can really grow and scale and do anything else. And so that was it, and it's literally taken me most of the year to do that. But that means that now I've got some big picture projects and so a few of those would be a textbook that I'm working on. The textbook is specifically for OTs working with students with dyslexia and dysgraphia. However, I've had so many people beg for more of a like teacher-friendly, a parent-friendly book that I am going to do my best to get that out as well in 2026. So fingers crossed on that. But in the meantime, we're also building out some teacher trainings and some trainings for therapists, a few of which one we released this past May because we also do camps, which I don't think I ever mentioned that in the services. We also do handwriting camps,
Yeah, tell
and
us about those camps.
yeah, I absolutely love a camp model. It's very approachable for families. It really achieves the best practice of that intensive model. And so we come at it from a very handwriting instruction approach versus a remediation approach. But I love camps. They're fun, they're exciting, it's small groups, so it's a very different dynamic than one-on-one. And we've done them in person and we've also done them virtual. And so I've had so many people ask, how do you run these camps? What do you do? So, of course, I built a course on it. And so we released it in May, and we had a really great cohort of therapists and teachers in it. And then, yes, we're building out a course for teachers that will come out in January of 26. And then really expanding our school outreach too. So, if any of your listeners are in school systems currently and you're like, we need this training, talk to your administration and reach out because again, I think that's where we can get the most impact. I can only work, as you said, I can only work with so many students one-on-one. And so then that's why we kind of built out the camp model so then we can reach more students and then I can educate teachers. And then if I can educate a whole school system, I'm impacting hundreds, if not thousands of students, which is really, really cool to take that time and turn it into a much broader outreach.
I love that. Where can my listeners find you? You mentioned a few things, and we'll put some links down below in the show notes, but tell us where to find you. I have a feeling they're going to want to be looking for you after this episode.
Yeah, I would love for them to find me. And I love talking all things handwriting, dysgraphia, business. So handwritingsolutions.org is our website. My email is kelli@handwritingsolutions.org. We will share the Black Friday waitlist, as I mentioned, as well as a waitlist for the dysgraphia course for teachers. And then it wouldn't be the teacher biz without giving you all some sort of freebie. One of the biggest things that I hear from teachers is like, what do I even expect? I'm a kindergarten teacher. I'm a second grade teacher. What do I expect from my students? What's the standards? Because they don't always educate you on that either. So we have compiled from the research also a really nice freebie that is grade by grade level handwriting expectations. And it is very comprehensive and wonderful, and you can implement it right away with your classroom.
I love that so much. We will definitely have those links down below for everyone. Kelly, thank you so much for coming on the show today. This was so helpful.
Yay! It was so fun to talk business too. It's funny. This was kind of my first business podcast because so much of what I share is with parents. Typically in a podcast form. So I'm excited to be able to talk a little bit of business and hopefully inspire, some of your teacher followers to kind of look into this handwriting piece a little bit more, whether it's to support their students in their classroom or to potentially even have a little side gig of their own.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I think you did that.